Wisconsin's primary election is now less than a week away. And here on the Dan O'Donnell Show, we are focusing on the race with by far the biggest number of candidates, but has flown under the radar. We are interviewing each of the 8 candidates for lieutenant governor running as Republicans to try to be the state's second highest office holder. Joining us now is the mayor of Lancaster, Wisconsin, in the southwest corner of the state. He is a candidate for lieutenant governor. He is David Varnam. David, welcome to the program, sir. It's great to have you here.
Good morning, Dan. Thank you so much for having me on today.
So before I start asking you any questions, introduce yourself to the Wisconsin people. Like, who are you? Why should they consider you for lieutenant governor?
So I am the former mayor of Lancaster. My third and final term just ended in April. I did not run for re-election because I was running for lieutenant governor. I am also a former congressional aide to a member of Congress that was in Southern California, where was his housing, water, and transportation aide. And I also am a former aide to Dr. Dobson at the Christian Ministry Focus on the Family, where I served as his federal legislative analyst for several years. In this race, I'm endorsed by Wisconsin Right to Life, Pro-Life Wisconsin, Wisconsin Family Action, and Dr. Dobson. So every pro-life, pro-family, or every major pro-life, pro-family group in the state has endorsed me in this race.
So being pro-life is your biggest issue. This is the thing that you're most passionate about?
It's a huge issue. It's a heart issue for me, and it has been for many years since I became a Christian in college.
So last night in the very conservative state of Kansas, voters overwhelmingly rejected a ballot initiative that would have made Kansas more pro-life. Does that concern you in that voters don't seem to be nearly as pro-life as you? In other words, shall I assume you do not favor any restrictions any exceptions to Wisconsin's abortion ban?
I don't have any exceptions, and I definitely don't support watering it down, our current law that some are discussing. As far as Kansas goes, I was surprised by that. I'd be curious to see some of the exit data and some of the information that kind of comes out after that, because sometimes these initiatives, there's other reasons that they get voted down. It's not always a straight black or white question. I'd be curious about that. But the Republican Party is the party of life for all stages of a person's life, from cradle to the grave and before. And I think that it's important for the Republican Party to continue to stand up for life. We had our lieutenant governor debate on television about 2 weeks ago. Democratic Party went before us the day before. They asked them, would they be willing to support a 20-week ban on abortion in exchange for changing the current Wisconsin law to that? And neither one of the lieutenant governor candidates were in favor of that. They didn't want to put a number on it. They're not for life like the Republican Party is, and I don't think the average person would support what they were talking about in their debate, their position when it comes to the pro-life issue.
In fairness, though, wouldn't the average person, almost by definition, not support your position either, but rather something more in the middle? And isn't that what voters overwhelmingly said in Kansas last night?
Well, I haven't seen the exit data in Kansas, and so I'm not really sure what message they were sending. But I think that the average person thinks that life is important. We might disagree on how many weeks and at what point, but I think the Republican Party is in a much safer position where they state, we are the party of life. We believe that life is precious and we want to protect it.
So here's the language, and you're right. I don't think I failed to say the exact language of the Kansas initiative. Regulation of abortion. Because Kansans value both women and children, the Constitution of the state of Kansas does not require government funding of abortion and does not create or secure a right to an abortion. To the extent permitted by the Constitution of the United States, the people, through their elected state representatives and state senators, may pass laws regarding abortion, including but not limited to laws that account for circumstances of pregnancy resulting from rape or incest or circumstances of necessity to save the life of the mother. So this sounds like kind of a middle-of-the-road amendment to me, doesn't it?
You know, I'm listening to it. I can hear the concern that maybe some libertarian candidates or some others would have about maybe giving a blank check to legislators to put language in, because you don't know what they would put in. I think if it had been more of a straight-up question amending the Constitution, we probably would have seen different numbers. But since it left it up to the legislature, and you don't know ultimately what they would do, maybe they're out of session, maybe they don't come back in until next year, maybe there was concern that people from the left would get in and change it. I don't know what was at play in Kansas, but I think that most Americans believe that we need to protect life, including those in Wisconsin and Kansas.
He is David Varnam. He is the former mayor of Lancaster, candidate for lieutenant governor, joining me here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. If you win the lieutenant governor's race, you will be automatically added to the ticket. What do you bring to that ticket that no other candidate does?
I'm the only current or former chief executive of a government running for lieutenant governor. And I think in a position that will be a chief executive position as part of the administration, if something was to happen to the governor or just being part of the administration, I think that's important. We have 2 senators running. We have some business people, some retirees, and some others in the race as well. But I think someone who has served in government, that's had to make decisions, that's had to make rules, that's had to work with others, is an important addition to our ticket. As mayor of Lancaster, I was the first mayor in more than 20 years to use the veto and the threat of the veto, and I did it many times to protect hunting on public lands, to keep our property taxes and utility fees the lowest of any city in Grant County, and the list goes on. I think it's important to know what people will do, and I think that my record as mayor and my background, having worked for Dr. Dobson at Focus on the Family, having worked for a member of Congress, shows that not only do I have the knowledge, but I have the backbone to be lieutenant governor.
The office of lieutenant governor has no constitutionally delegated responsibilities. That means the governor and lieutenant governor sort of are free to get together and determine for themselves what the role of the lieutenant governor will be. How would you see your role as lieutenant governor? What would be the area that you would focus on to benefit a Republican gubernatorial administration?
I think the issues that I would champion would include more protections for the unborn, lowering our taxes, representing all of Wisconsin, which includes rural Wisconsin, championing universal school choice, and supporting constitutional carry and protecting the Second Amendment. I also have background in economic development. I was the past president of the Grant County Economic Development Corporation, and believe that I would be able to really help the governor on that, who can pick committees that I could be appointed to as well on those types of issues. Feel like I could really help on that, because Lancaster, Grant County, we're down in the southwest corner. We border Illinois and Iowa, and we are competing with jobs with those states. We need to be a leader when it comes to taxes and promoting business, promoting workers, and trying to recruit them to our state. And I think I could really help with that.
How did you promote business to Lancaster? What did you do as mayor to really spur economic growth?
Well, we grew Lancaster in my terms as mayor of Lancaster, not only with population, but with businesses. And we did it by reaching out to businesses, trying to showcase Lancaster. Lancaster is very much a rural city. We have 4,000 people. We are the county seat for Grant County. We face a lot of the same issues that other counties in Wisconsin, especially rural counties, face. And it's hard sometimes. But you're reaching out, you're trying to showcase your community, you're trying to compete with others around you. And like I said, we were also in a unique position because we were trying to recruit in other states as well. But it was very much being a voice, trying to make Lancaster as good of a good-looking city as we could by having low taxes, by having low business taxes, and showcasing our city.
He is David Varnam. He is a candidate for lieutenant governor. David, where can people go to learn more about your campaign?
My website is davidvarnam.com, and I also have Facebook at David Varnam for Lieutenant Governor, and Twitter at dvarnam, and Varnam is spelled V as in Victor, A-R, N as in Nancy, A as in Apple, M as in Mary.
David, thank you so much for joining us. Really do appreciate it. You are listening to the Dan O'Donnell Show. We'll be right back after this.